Hey everybody, I was actually just taking a second and doing a little setup to try to record some more podcasts, and I was looking and I found a file on my computer that I used to store my Q&A questions in, and I realized I haven't answered all the questions that I had in that file. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here, and I'm going to go ahead and answer your questions that you have on our calibers. Coming up next. Hey guys, Mike here from CMMG, and as I stated just a second ago, I'm here today to talk to you guys about the questions that you guys have regarding our calibers. We offer quite a few different calibers. You have various questions on them, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in and answer your questions that you've submitted. Now, if these seem kind of easy, I mean, there's a solution to that. Hit us up in the comments down below with more questions. They don't have to be caliber related. I mean, they can be, pretty much any CMMG product related that you've got. So make sure you hit us up in the comments down below, and I'm just going to go ahead and start out here. All right, our first question comes to us from @NotYaAverageJones on Twitter. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm going to read it verbatim how they asked, but I'm just going to kind of summarize it down below on that lower third. They ask, I want the Banshee 300 Mark IV, I think, with the conversion kit. I don't own a rifle, so I wanted to go with this conversion kit so I can have the 9mm conversion, but it can also be ready for a 5.56 upper, right? Is that a solid choice? Well, basically they're asking, they want to go with the Mark IV. They want to be able to do a 5.56 and 9mm. And yes, that is a very solid choice. It's actually one of my favorite configurations. Being able to use the 9mm conversion mags in a standard Mark IV or AR mag well it's just so handy. So for those of you that aren't familiar, our Mark IV is a standard AR-15 configuration. So you can use, obviously, a standard 5.56 upper on there, but using the 9mm conversion magazines is also an option if you use our radio delay blowback 9mm upper. So people that want to shoot 5.56 and also do PCC competitions, or they just want to shoot 9mm, it's a great option. So is it a solid choice? Yes. Our next question comes to us from Nutbuster1776 on Instagram. Their question is, what other uppers are compatible with 5.56 lowers other than the 350 Legend? Well, that's the brilliant thing of the 5.56 lower. So a 5.56 lower is, your traditional AR-15. Ton of manufacturers out there, including ourselves, make standard AR-15s with a regular AR mag well. Well, we offer quite a few varieties and quite a few calibers that work on that standard lower. So we've already hinted at or spoken of 5.56 and 350 Legend. Other calibers that we offer are 22 long rifle, 22 Nosler, 224 Valkyrie, 300 Blackout, 5.7x28 using our conversion mags, 6.5 Grendel, 6mm arc, and 9mm using our conversion mags. So that is a pretty good variety just from us that you have available to work with a standard 5.56 lower. Our next question comes to us from @PaisleyBrandon on Instagram. They say, hi Mike, will a Mark IV 9mm RDB conversion Banshee upper work with the MkGs 9mm Glock lower, as well as the Mark 17 9mm Sig P320 lower? Yes. That's the brilliant thing about this. And I apologize because I'm not sure how long ago you answered this question or asked this question, because this wasn't a file and I hadn't got to it just yet. But I believe since you've probably asked this question, all of our uppers are now 9mm radio delay blowback. So if you have something that is 9mm lower, it's going to work with the 9mm radio delay blowback upper, no matter what barrel length or configuration it is. So as long as it is a 9mm radio delay blowback upper, It will work with the MkGs, which is Glock mag lower. It will work with the Mark 17, which is the Sig P320 lower. It will work with the Mark 9, which is the Colt mag lower. And it will work with the Mark 4, which is the standard AR lower that uses conversion magazines, like I've already talked about. Our next question comes to us from @BeckyYackley on Instagram. Becky, you could probably answer these questions just as good as I can. Maybe that ought to be a video. Maybe that ought to be something like me and Becky talking. We'll just do it in a podcast and we'll see how well maybe we can pit her knowledge against mine or somebody's. Who knows? Hit us up in the comments down below. Let us know if that'd be something you'd like to see. But anyway, let's get back to Becky's question. She asks, how many calibers does CMMG make AR platforms in? Well, we are currently at 16 calibers that we make the AR platform in. And when I say AR platform, I'm talking like, everything that we make. We're not talking AK platform. We're not talking bolt action. We're not talking, all the various actions, kind of AR-ish things. So we currently have 16, and that is also having just retired 458 SOCOM. So I know a lot of you are familiar with the Mark W that we had in the mid-size platform that had 458 SOCOM in it. We retired that. The good news is we also had 6.5 Grendel in the mid-size platform, but we now have 6.5 Grendel in the standard AR platform in the Mark IV. So 16 different calibers after having just retired one. And I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say there's probably another caliber coming soon. So that's what we like to do. Stay tuned. The next question comes to us from @TaylorCascio95 on Instagram. Their question is, are you making a 10mm Banshee with the PMAG conversion kit? Well, just so you know, the conversion kit is something that we worked with Mean Arms and their Indo Mag design on because they have a brilliant design and it works really well. We just kind of optimized it for our 9mm radial delay blowback and tweaked it a little bit so it works better that way. Now, the one thing to think about, though, is you're probably not going to be seeing a conversion mag anytime soon because the diameter of the casing for a 9mm is very, 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 very close to that of the diameter of the casing on a 5.56. So the feed lips lend themselves quite well to being interchangeable. So using that insert in the conversion mag works really well for a 9mm. I'm not in the engineering department, so I really haven't looked at it, but I know there is definitely a case diameter difference between the 9mm and a 10mm, and I don't know how well that would lend itself to using PMAG feed lips. So that's going to be something that Indomag and our engineers might be looking at, but as of right now, no plans for it. Our next question comes to us from @HHDSWY on Instagram. They ask, are you looking into making more caliber adapted AR magazines like the 5.7 or 9mm, but like in 10mm? Well, I kind of answered that in the question just before this. We're always looking at trying to find different calibers that we can use in the Mark IV lower. Some of those require you to have different types of magazines or, conversion magazines to make them fit a little bit better, as opposed to just running pistol magazines all the time. So we're always looking at new caliber options. And sometimes that just means instead of a conversion magazine, we're literally making a whole new magazine. Yes, we're constantly looking at new stuff, but I would just say stay tuned and find out what's coming up next. Our next question comes to us from Arthur B on Facebook. Arthur asks, what's your longest shooting AR with the best accuracy and what caliber is best for the long shots? Well, Arthur, that is kind of a loaded question because believe it or not, long distance is kind of subjective. There are a bunch of people that only train for personal defense, and they do fairly close quarters. So for them, 100 yards might be considered a long distance shot. But then there are people that are into precision shooting, and they are going to be more into, 300 plus, 500 plus, 800 plus, 1,000 yards. And there are people that even shoot all the way out to a mile. Then the question is going to be, what are you looking for as far as that precision? Are you looking for just shooting targets, or are you looking at hunting? Are you looking at a small projectile like a 22 nozzler or something like that is really fast and flat shooting? So there's a lot of different applications that are going to make this answer dependent on how you want to use it. If I were to pick a kind of a universal, I would probably say 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 Creedmoor is an incredible round, and it's very versatile. It can definitely reach out there. I would recommend going, since you're on Facebook, I would recommend checking out the CMMG enthusiast page on Facebook. That's a group made by some fans, and there are a lot of CMMG fans there. I know Mark, the founder of the group, he's got a 6.5 Creed. Then there are also members there like Michael Lindsay, competitive 3-gun shooter, and Sean Alexi. I believe they also shoot some kind of long range and precision rifle stuff, and they use our Creedmoor. They've been working up different loads. So I would possibly go to that page and ask the question, and you might get a little bit more real world use of an answer there. So check them out. Our next question comes to us from @MrHootyHoo on Instagram. Mr. Hooty-Hoo. Hooty-Hoo! Oh, we love Hooty-Hoo. Great guy. One of the hardest working people in the industry that I know of. But he's asking, what are the top 3 caliber firearms selling right now? 9mm or 5.56? Well, in order, I'm probably going to have to say they are 9mm, 9mm, and 9mm. Because for those of you that don't know, and hopefully you just, at least found out from previous questions that I've answered here, we offer 9mm in 4 different platforms. So if you separate the 9mm between all the different platforms we have, I would say each one of those is probably the best seller. 9mm is so popular right now. But there are a ton of other ones out there. I mean, 5.56 is still, it's the go-to. It's still a traditional cartridge that everybody wants an AR in because it's the quintessential AR. The 7.62x39 in the Mark 47 is very popular. 5.7x28 is very popular. 22s. I know I just gave you more than 3 calibers, and we're talking about calibers, but 9mm hands down, biggest seller right now. But there are a ton of other ones out there that people are really trying to scoop up. So hopefully that answered your question. And our final question today comes to us from Boney24 on Instagram. They say, "Hi, Mike. Is the Anderson Arms 5.56 going to fit the Banshee 200 MkGs 9mm? Well, I'm hoping you're saying the Anderson Arms 5.56 lower, which would be a traditional AR lower. And if that is the case, then yes, that would work with the MkGs upper, as long as you use one of the conversion magazines. So I'm not sure when this question was asked, because like I said, it took me a little while to get to these questions. We have since dropped the name MkGs on all of our uppers because it was kind of confusing. People thought that only the MkGs upper worked on the MkGs lower, but 9mm radial delay blowback upper is the only 9mm upper we offer now, and it will work on a standard AR lower with the conversion magazines. Now, however, if you wanted to go the opposite way and you were looking at an Anderson Arms 5.56 upper going on an MkGs, that doesn't even make sense. I don't even know why I'm trying to think of it that way. A 5.56 would not fit into a Glock mag well. So it's got to be the first way. And yes, that would work just fine. All right, everybody. Thanks for all your questions. I always have fun doing this, and I apologize for not getting to these sooner. But like I said earlier on and throughout the video, if you guys have more questions for us, feel free to hit me up in the comments down below. Ask away. I love answering these questions, and they don't have to necessarily be, little slow pitch questions here. I mean, if you want to dig in and ask some good questions and challenge me a little bit, I like digging in and trying to figure out the answers if I don't know them. So go ahead and ask away. Just keep in mind, be cordial. Try to keep it CMMG related. If you're asking questions about, the Sturmgewehr or something like that, that's definitely something I really don't know about, and I would probably refer you to Forgotten Weapons or a channel like that. But go ahead and ask away. If it's not caliber related, doesn't matter. It might come up in a future video, so make sure you stay tuned for all those. And guys, thanks again for everything, all the questions, the constant engagement. It's so much fun. I love doing this, and I'm going to go ahead and sign out. So as always, guys, stay safe out there.